Hello, today we're going to be learning how to sew two fabrics together. So we're just going to sew one fabric to the other. What I'm doing is I am using pre-cut squares, but you can cut squares to any size you want. So to start with, I'm taking a light and a dark fabric and I'm going to join them together. What I do is I turn one over to the wrong side and I draw a line on it. To draw the line, simply take a ruler. This is just an ordinary plastic 12-inch ruler, but what I've done is I've pre-drawn a 1/4-inch line on the ruler. So I take my 1/4-inch line and I bring it to the edge of my fabric. I hold it down with my finger. I take a pen or pencil, start at the middle and work out either side. This will stop your fabric stretching or pulling down out of the way. Next, take my two fabrics again and place them right sides together. So the right sides are on top of each other. You can see these squares are a little bit different in size, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it out so it's evenly divided. Next thing I do is I take my needle and thread. I don't put a knot in it, but you can if you want. What I do is I start and I put my needle down in through the two layers and bring it back up again to the top. I pull on the thread till I have about 1 inch of thread left hanging out. Then I go back in where I started, where that thread is showing, and make another stitch. Give it a little tug this side and at the end, tiny little tug. Going to do the same again. Going to go back in, down through all the layers, back up. But this time, instead of pulling my needle all the way up, I'm going to make a few stitches by going down and up several times, keeping my stitch nice and small. When I've got a few loaded on the needle, I pull it out and pull my thread. Now, to make this a little bit more secure, what we're going to do is we're going to do a back stitch. So we're going to go back down where the thread disappeared for the last stitch. And I'm going to come up again and I'm going to make a few more stitches. You just continue in this way. The reason we're back stitching is it makes your stitching more secure. If the thread breaks or gets cut, it will only rip back as far as your last back stitch. Okay. Don't double your thread. Keep your thread single and try not to use any longer than 15 inches. It's tempting, but it will knot on you, it will break, it will twist on you, and just, yeah, bit of a nightmare. So I'm coming up to the end, so I'm making that last stitch. And what I need to do now is I need to secure my stitch again, like I did at the start of the row. So I'm going to go back into this last stitch once and twice. Give it a little bit of a tug and then I can cut it. Next step is to finger press. So I turn my fabrics over and I'm going to press towards the dark side. So I fold my fabric seam over to the dark side, Star Wars, and give it a finger press. Try not to stretch your fabric. Turn it over to the right side and do it once more. And there's your nice little seam. So I can continue in this way and I can join another piece here. I can keep going and add on more and more to make a row as big as I want. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to take my row. I want to join it to join rows. So very simply, I take my ruler again, draw my line. I'm going to place my fabrics. I'm going to look at them first and then I'm going to bring them right side together again. And because I've pressed my fabric towards the dark side each time, I'm going to be able to bring them seams together and they're going to just fit perfectly. They're going to nest nicely. I can take a pin then if I want And I'm going to go down through all the layers and back up again. Okay, so I would have my line drawn. I then stitch across this, do the finger pressing again, and I end up with 4. You can keep going. You can use any size squares you want. We've used 2.5-inch squares here, which when sewn together will finish at 2 inches, but you can make them any size you want. You can make them smaller, you can make them larger. It doesn't have to be square. You can join rectangles, triangles, diamonds, whatever shape you want. So that's our basic learning to sew and learning to join 2 pieces of fabrics together. Thank you.